Hey everybody, Nate Carter here with today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. I think one of the great misconceptions about Christianity is that when you become a Christian, God takes care of everything and makes your life smooth, makes things easy for you. And unfortunately, Christians have made that the message a lot of times that is sent, that with Jesus, everything gets taken care of and suddenly everything's easy. Now, we know that when we trust in Jesus, that he does secure our permanent and our eternal destiny and makes things in that way, makes things wonderful, because we have a future to look forward to when all will be made new. But there's no guarantee that that's what God has in store for us here on this earth. In fact, the only promise in Scripture is that we will encounter persecution. The Apostle Paul spoke about something that he contended with, and we don't know what it is, but in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, he talks about this thorn in the flesh. And let me read the passage to you, beginning with verse 6. Even if I should choose to boast, I would not be a fool, because I would be speaking the truth. But I refrain, so no one will think more of me than is warranted by what I do or say, or because of these surpassingly great revelations. Therefore, in order to keep me from being conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." I think this is really interesting on a lot of levels. First of all, Paul is saying that rightfully so, he could very rightfully be conceited. He has a lot to be proud of. He's an incredibly intelligent person. He has rose in the ranks as a Pharisee, and certainly, just by looking at the way he's written half of the New Testament, he's got a great brain on his shoulders. Yet, God placed something in his life to keep him humble. And it's interesting that they never tell us what it is. And I think that that's appropriate because in our own minds, we can insert that thing in our own life that perhaps torments us. A hardship, something that we've prayed over and over for God to remove, but for some reason he doesn't do it. Perhaps it's a medical or physical ailment or issue. Maybe it's a relationship in your life that just never seems to get better. Maybe it's just a sense of loss or something that you're trying to overcome, but you never seem to be able to. And I'm not talking about sin here, because God's design for us is that we do have everything that we need to overcome sin. But these are hardships, things that happen to us that perhaps we have no control over. And he uses that as an opportunity to teach us humility. I think it's interesting that of all people, wouldn't you think that God would want to answer Paul, the Apostle Paul's prayer to remove this thorn in his flesh? You know that he would use that time that he's focused on his thorn, he would use that for ministry. So wouldn't it be for God's best for that thorn to be removed from him? But God says no. The reason is because I want you to know about my grace. And my grace is going to be sufficient for you. And I want you to know about what real power is. It's not what you can do, Apostle Paul. It's what I can do in the midst of your weakness. I want to encourage you today because I know that many of you have been praying, as I have, for something in your life that for some reason God has chosen not to take away. A prayer that has gone unanswered. Or perhaps it's a prayer whose answer you weren't expecting or wouldn't prefer. And perhaps the answer that God is giving you to that prayer today is no. You're going to see my power. You're going to see my power in your weakness. And in the meantime, I'm going to teach you to be humble and rely on my grace and rely on my power. Guys, if that's where you find yourself today, this week, this year, perhaps that's where you find yourself in life, you're in good company with the Apostle Paul, who had to contend with a thorn in his own flesh. Know that you can rely on the perfect power of God and on his beautiful grace, which sustains you in the midst of your weakness. One day he will make all things new, but until then, we rest in his power and in his grace. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day.